Hello, Wooden Wednesday, first impression time. Let's do it. Hello and welcome to this week's first impressions video, which is focusing on the independence. So this is the 1775 independence from Artesania, Latina. Now the scale of this kit is 1:35 scale, believe it or not. Yeah, it is. You get some real large scales in the wooden model ship genre. And the kit itself came out late 1990s, possibly even 1999, although I'm not 100% sure of the exact date. Certainly the back end of the 1990s. And as we look at the front, we've got some pictures of the model. You can see it's been displayed in its natural woods state, and we have some history there in English and in Spanish. And when we look down at the bottom here, we've got some technical information which gives us the length, height, beam, and just confirms the scale. Now that says 2006 on there, but that's because the kit has been re-released 2 or 3 times now. So let's have a look around the box. We've got history in more languages on that side. The sides tell you it's a wooden kit, and that is pretty much it for the box. So let's take a look at the instructions. The instructions come in 3 different formats in this kit. We have plans, which probably will be to scale. We'll have a look in a minute. We have written instructions, and then we have pictorial instructions, all separate documents. Now my understanding is that more recent kits from this company, the instructions are actually a download, and that doesn't surprise me because the part work companies like Model Space have been doing digital downloads of their instructions for a little while now. So that sort of makes sense. You digitally download them. It reduces the cost of manufacturing, which is great. And it also means you can blow them up on your screen and see them more clearly, which is also great. So I have no issues with that. I know some people like to thumb through a document. I suspect you'll still always get the paper plans because you do need them for reference. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the written instruction, and then we'll go through the pictorial and the plans. What we have is an A4 stapled document. It looks like it's going to be in multiple languages. It's very nicely presented with this little cutout here. A little bit of flair to it. And then first page is what appears to be in Spanish. Right, and then we get to English. So it says, before going ahead with assembly of the model, recommend that you carefully read the general advice. So what started out as instructions has now become general advice. Okay, so what you get is photo 1 reference, which will cross-reference to the images that we'll see in a minute, and then basically telling you what to do. So for example, in this first one, from sheet A, remove the false keel and the frames and fit and glue the frames into place in the corresponding slots of the false keel. Use white glue for this operation. So it's telling you what you're doing and what materials that you're going to use in addition to what's supplied in the kit, because there's no glue in the kit. What it's not doing is not telling you to make sure that everything is square. So it's the base. It is general advice. It is not a specific instruction. If this was Callicraft, you'd have that sort of text. If this was Amati or Victory models, you'd have more text here saying be careful to make sure they're square, and so on and so forth. But it is a bit more basic, but it's telling you effectively what to do. And then when they feel that there's something that is really important, they're going to tell you. So photo 8, very important when fitting the strakes, make sure that you do not force them into place. So this is photo 8 is planking the hull. So in all, there is 19-20 instructions, and it says photo 20 to 32. Most of the more laborious and precise work, laborious, that's perhaps not a word to use, has now been done. From photo 20 onwards, it's a case of making up and fitting the parts following the photographic process step by step. We are sure that you will succeed. Finish this wonderful model. Enjoy it. So there you go. That is it for written instructions. Now, don't be put off by the fact that they seem very basic. Let's have a look at the pictures. Recent kits and this, the written instruction and the pictures are grouped together, and this comes as a booklet. But in this particular kit, it is a fold-out page with pictures on. If we start at the top here, we can see it's telling you what the different woods are, and it's giving you an image of what they'll look like when they've been varnished. So 4 different woods involved, and then you can see we just read out step 1, and you can see it is showing you what you put in and the part numbers, so it's really clear. And then you can see they get really close up in some of these pictures, so it's much easier to not make a mistake than in other manufacturers where you get the written instruction and then you get a vague picture on a plan where you might not be able to fully see what's happening. So for me, particularly for people who are beginners, this is a really, really nice way of doing it. I've always liked the instructions that this manufacturer does for me. They're amongst the best, and you can instantly see why the part work companies are using these, because this is the format that the part work companies use. This is what they want, so it lends itself really, really well. So we can see that we're building up the false decks. It's telling you here about putting the wood strips on. Then we're fairing it, then we're putting our strips on. I'm sure it tells you to bend it into place or soak it or something. You can see there close up of the wood strips all being put in. They've gone for the technique where you put a couple of strips in and then you put one a bit lower down and then get the rest to meet. I personally don't like that. It's not, I prefer them to all be even. Then you can see we're doing the gallery, we're doing second planking, which is always a lot easier than first planking. Then we're starting to put some of the detail in the bulwarks and putting the rails on. Then we've got a single wooden piece on the back ready for the stern gallery. And I'm guessing that's being done for the inside surface, but I'm not 100%. Let's just flip her over. Then we've got detail being put in at the bow, which is nice to see. That looks like that's possibly a combination of wood strip painted and then some brass wire, I'm guessing. And we can see that little metal piece has been inserted. I personally don't like it. This company will use a lot of generic parts rather than going for accuracy, but it doesn't look unattractive when you're looking at it. Then we've got the rudder. So you can see there that they have what looks like several pieces, but I'm guessing it's probably a solid piece of wood and you'd have to cut that in. So that's the normal sort of practice. Then we've got all sorts of fittings being put in around the base of the masts, cleats going on, ship's bell going on, that's nice, a brass bell. Then we're making up other parts, gratings, the water butt, making up steps. Oh, windlass there, looks like we've got pre-shaped wooden parts for the windlass. Then we've got some removable slats there, so they've got string on, and you can choose to either glue them in place or leave them loose and then peer inside as you wish. Doorways to allow you to get below decks. There's our anchors. Close-up of doing the dead eyes. Close-up of stringing the ladders and even mounting the swivel gun. More swivel guns. And then finally the stern gallery and lantern. So that is all of the fittings done. What it doesn't do is masts and rigging. In total we have 3 plans, and I don't think there's a particular order, but we'll just, these will be large scale plans, and so what will happen is we'll fold this out and it'll be huge, way too big for the camera. So on one side we have full to scale sails, and basically it's just a picture of the sails, as you can see, and it gives you a sail number, which I don't think you can see. There you go, and that's it. That's all that you've got on that side. It's just to reference what sail is what sail. On this other side you've got rigging plan, so you've got several different pictures. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different pictures in total, giving you an individual number for each rigging string and pointing you in the direction it goes, start point, termination point, and then you'll have a drawing at the bottom here, which is where each one of those ropes terminates on the ship, and where it's tied off. And there's even a little how to do your dead eyes, which is usually included. Tells you what you've got here, dead eyes, blocks and double blocks. So it's fairly basic in terms of rigging blocks. And then there are some pictures, let's see if I can show you that. No, what we'll do is we'll have a look at the big plan. So as we look at the whole plan, you can see that most of it is a side profile, which helps you to identify the string, or in that case the flag, and the direction of the main rigging. And this one, figure 8, we've got a forward profile that's showing you the rigging of the yards and the mast, the sail, to give you that view of how that would work. And like I say, that all is cross-referenced to there. So it might look daunting, but you do one at a time, and it really, a lot of people find it very therapeutic, the rigging. Now obviously the sails are an option. You don't have to put the sails on, and that reduces some of your rigging time. But you've also got there in figure 5 the rack lines, and for me that's one of the first things you're going to be putting on. So yeah, for I'm not sure. Yeah, it does make sense that you're putting those sails on there in figure 2 because they're side on, so they'd be more difficult to put on with the rack line. So you are going to do these in the sequence steps that they've shown. So they break it down actually really clearly. It might look complex now, but it will make sense when you're actually doing the build. So this next plan is a full scale drawing of the finished ship, referencing some of the rigging, some of the rails, some of the sails, the nets and various other major components. And just for fun, because it's 1/35 scale, thought it'd be interesting to reference it against a 1/35 scale 2-story house. Yep, it is going to take up a little bit of display space, and remember you've got the width of the yard arms as well, so it's not small. What I would say is there's a lot of people that do Admiralty format ships with no masts for a reason. It does give you a really good impression of the finished model. On the other side of that plan is again another full-size set of drawings, this time showing the internal positions of things, so it gives you an idea of how things are fitted together, gives you a top view for cross-referencing where things have been placed, and then we've got the bowsprit view there, with the netting on and what have you. So yeah, what is noticeable is if you want to have your hatches closed up, you don't need to make the ladders. Our third and final set of plans has all of our masts on, again full scale, so you can actually put the part on top of the plan and make sure you've got widths and lengths right, and has reference numbers, so you can cross-reference everything that you're doing. Has top-down views, so you can see how things have been constructed. It's really nice, clear to read set of plans, and we've got our parts list there in English. So when you look at the parts list, including the strips of wood, there's a lot of parts in here. The plan is double-sided, so we've got more masts and yards on the other side. And that's it for the instructions. Packaged in the box within a plastic box to keep everything from being damaged, with the instructions and plans on top separately. Our sails are all individually wrapped. Our small components are in plastic trays, which are also shrink wrapped to avoid the lids coming off. Now I have a base and pedestals in here loose, and I think these were not originally with the kit and have been added in by the person that sold it to me. I bought this second hand, so they may not be included, but I'm not 100% sure, so I am showing you them. But these were loose, which suggests to me that they're not part of the original kit. Our laser cut parts are also heat wrapped for protection, and then we have all of our dowels and wood stock. You can see that this kit is so old that the elastic bands have now failed, so these were all bundled but are now all loose. So the laser cut parts are in this heat sealed pack, and we appear to have a list of parts in the back, so I'm just going to carefully open the heat seal wrap and take that off. Right, let's have a look at these parts. So we have, it says high-tech cut, because what used to happen is they used to just print, and I'm not just talking about this company, all wooden manufacturers used to just print onto the sheet of wood where to cut, and you used to cut it out yourself. Laser cut became something in well, the early 90s. It became prevalent, I guess, so that's why it's called a high-tech cut. So we can see here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sheets of wood to go through. Although this sheet here has actually come as the individual parts. But this basically allows you to cross-reference and number your parts ahead of the build. So if we have a look at these first, what we've got is two side pieces, upper bulkheads. You can see there we've got the curving and we've got some cutouts. So this is nice quality plywood actually. There's no knots in it or anything like that, which might give you any issues with weakness or trouble bending it. So yeah, very nicely done, and not too much in the way of laser burn scoring. So this is pretty much clean up the little tabs on it, of which there's going to be a small number, 4 or 5, and you're ready to go. So our main thick large piece of plywood, which has our bulkheads in and out, basically to form our false ribs and our false keel plate in. I'm guessing that's about 5-6 millimeters thick. Again, it's a very nice piece of plywood. No knots or issues. Sometimes you get knots on the joins and bits break away, but that is not the case with this. It's good quality material. We can see it's all nicely cut, and there is no issues with the grouping, and actually there's not a lot of waste wood either. So yeah, number that up, and that's nice and easy to use, and we can see that some parts are eager to get out as it is. Yeah, that's all really nice actually. Interestingly, this next one, which is much thinner, 2 millimeters I would guess, has some tape on. I guess they felt it was a bit flimsy, but you've just seen me unwrap it, so that was definitely put on in the factory. So we've got a number of components here, including false decks, which gives you an idea of how wide this is going to be. It's not going to be a small build at all. But yeah, the cut is nice and clear. It's a little bit of a rough edge there, but it doesn't. It seems to actually be laser burn rather than rough cutting. Yeah, it's all very nice. You can see we've already got cutouts for our bowsprit, our masts, our grates. So it's really just plug and play. Another 5 millimeter board of ply, again, really nice. None of this is going to get seen. It's all the main construction parts. But we can see that we're going to have some form of support slotted in. It's all perfectly good, very good ply, good quality materials, no issues with that at all. So next we have our solid wood laser cut parts, and you can see in this one, this is 5 millimeters again, and we get some nice spare material there, which is always handy, as you can use that for all sorts of things. We've got here the pieces for the bow, the false keel, the cat heads, and the rudder there, all cut out ready to go. I'd suggest you probably want to put something on the rudder to make it look like more than one piece of wood. It would have been made up of some large pieces of wood, so you know, maybe 2 lines need to be cut into that just to give it a more authentic feel, but otherwise that's nice. I mean, look at the quality of the wood. You can varnish that up and you've got absolutely no issues at all. It'd be beautiful. There's no shakes or knots or anything in there, so it's really, really good quality material. Then we've got a sheet again of solid wood that is 3 millimeters or thereabouts, and we've got a whole array of parts in there. The tops for the anchors, bits for the mast, all sorts of little components there. I think that's also for some of the yards. So again, solid wood, not plywood. That means that you can varnish these and look at it from all angles, and it's going to look attractive. So when you compare that to other manufacturers, that's a very nice touch. Our last sheet of laser cut wood, and we've got what looks like the bulwark tops, the rails for the bow, and maybe for the stern, and the rest of it will probably come from strip stock. And then this is the cannon sides, and they appear to be, yeah, I think they've laser cut part way through that, which I've not seen them do before, but that's interesting. So we've got our cannon truck sides there, and yeah, our parts are nicely done. And again, solid material, so we don't have to worry about what that looks like. Okay, looking at the first of our 2 boxes of small components, I've just unwrapped this one. I think it's also taped down actually, which I hadn't spotted. And you can see how well packed it is. They've taped the lid down, and then they've heat wrapped it so nothing is getting out, because as soon as you open it, you've got parts trying to escape. And they've packed some silica gel in there to keep everything nice and dry. So just going to move those out so we can take a look inside. Have to be careful not to take parts out with it. Okay, so if we start from the left, we've got what is most likely going to be anchor thread. And then we've got 0.5, 0.15, 0.8, and another 0.8, and they're all in brown. And so this is all standard rigging that doesn't move, that's permanently there. So sometimes this is supplied as black and sometimes it's brown, and that's to represent rope that's been tarred, and fresh tarred was black, and over time it would fade and go brown. So that's why you sometimes get black or sometimes brown, but in this instance we've got brown. And we can see we've got our gratings, and if I have a look at a handful of those, they can be a little bit hit and miss gratings, but these look really nice, no issues. So I'm going to put them there. We've got some small strips of wood there, which is probably for foot slats on the ladders, rungs on a ladder, I would imagine. And then we've got some mesh, not quite sure what we're doing with that, and a couple of flags there. So these are the sticky back material flags. So if we just put that back, then as we move across, we've got our dead eyes, we've got some rings, they might be for the base of the masts. The dead eyes look to be nicely drilled and all balanced. There's no rogue drilling with it not quite in the triangular pattern, so they all look good. Then we've got some double blocks, they look nice. And then we've got these metal openings, usually have a rope running out of those. Then we've got some single blocks, nothing wrong with them, they're all nicely drilled through and all look the same, so that's good. This is our ladder sides, which is what makes me think these are the steps for it. These are a bit more rough, let's have a look. Yeah, they're all the same. They're a little bit rough and will need a little bit of clean up. But the cutting is all even, so that's the key thing here. Then we've got a barrel. Some people may want to mill out the end for a bit more authenticity, but we have a barrel. I'm going to put that down, and I'm not quite sure what those are, but they're pre-formed, made from hard boxwood, so they look really nice. Then we've got our parabol beads, which is for to aid the movement of yards on the mast. We've got some brass components here, which again, I'm not sure what they are, but I think that will go in to the wood, and then we'll put string through that, and then they become stanchions, is what I think they are. So they're nicely done. And then I imagine these are the rudder brackets, the hinges. And then at the bottom here, we've got some cast metal lamps, or a cast metal lamp, I should say, and then a couple of pumps. So being cast metal, they're a bit basic. Needs a little bit of clean up. We can see there's a moulding pin mark there, and there'll be seams on them. You can see, but they're cast. Those are cast in bronze, and this is some form of brass alloy. So you can either put them in like that, or you can try and clean them up. Sometimes I find just going over them with a very fine abrasive distresses them a bit, and that can look quite good. Then we've got our beads for the top of the masts and some smaller deadeyes. Right, this is our other tray of components, and you can see it's mainly metal parts. We do have two lots of string, so we've got a 0.15 and I think that's 0.5, it's the zeros rubbed off. So that's our running rigging, much finer thread, so that's quite nice. So going from the left, we've got cast metal anchors. In the light, they look like they might be bronze. Often these are a white metal just painted black, and they don't look brilliant. But we'll have a gentle sand of an area that we know is going to get covered come the time, and understand them a bit more. So we've got two of those, and well, this is what I mean about the painted blocks. They don't look great. It's better when they are made from wood and you wrap the brass around them. You can see these need to clean up. This should be wood in real life, so that's something you may want to consider replacing. But we do have the anchor blocks. Then we've got a whole array of brass rod and strip. So there's quite a lot of brass going into there one way or another. We've got a casting there which looks like it's perhaps for going over the ship's bell or something like that. And then we've got this casting for the stern gallery. Now, as castings go, actually it looks better than it does on the box. You'd want to, for me, you'd want to understand the colours and paint it up. So you've got that option, or you can leave it in the natural metal. The kit is intended to be displayed in its natural material, so that's why they do this, so that it looks nice if you display it. But I would want to paint it. There is some lines I can't cross, and for me that looks better painted. So the windows look like windows, and we've got the original colours, even if we leave the rest of the wood as varnished wood. But it's a good solid piece of brass or brass alloy. moving across, we've got a lot of eyes in different sizes, small and large brass eyes, all good quality materials. And then we have this. I have no idea what that is. I have never seen one of those in a wooden ship kit before, so who knows. And we've got more eyes here, different sizes, and then we've got a selection of metal cast cleats. And look how nice they are. Actually, they're not full of heavy seam, they're not distorted, they are good quality fittings. What I thought were rudder hinges earlier can't be, because these are the rudder hinges. You can see they're pre-formed already, so you just have to glue them into place. And then we've got one of two wooden baling pins. Now, I like it when the baling pins are wood and not metal. I think that's much more authentic. But we've only got two of them, which is interesting. I would have expected more. Then we've got a number of brass dead eyes. They're all nicely formed as well. Again, good quality. And then we have some cannons, turned brass, so they are very nice and crisp. They're not a brass moulding, which can look a little bit lumpy and bumpy. These are turned, so again, very high quality, look really nice. And I'm going to guess that these are the Cannon carriage trucks, the wheels for them. I'm going to guess. I might be wrong, but I don't think so, given the number of them that we've got. Then we have a brass bell, which looks nice, just needs a clapper. And you can do that by knotting a little bit of string, passing it through and painting it up, and that'll look perfectly good. And then we've got these little swivel guns to go on the top. Again, turned brass, they absolutely look the part. Really, really nice. Then we've got our side galleries. Again, same comment as before. They look quite nice actually, but personally I'd want to paint them up. And then we've got our brass pins for the construction of the hull. Our sails all come separated from the rest of the kit in an individual bag. And what we can see here is that they are pre-cut and they are pre-stitched. We've got our loops on for tying them on, and then we'd need to stitch them onto the masts with some rigging loops, but they are done. If I turn it over this way and bring it up, you can see that we've got all of the runs already stitched, so that looks really nice. You don't have to do any work. You don't have to do any work with these other than mount them on, which is a really lovely touch. Okay, our strip wood next, and as before, all the elastic bands have failed, and I'm just fishing them out because as they get older, these rubber bands will get sticky and will actually start sticking to the wood. I've already had one or two that were a bit needed a bit of a pull to come off. We can see that we've got one here that's not failed. I'm taking that off as well. So we've got here some thin strip wood which will be ideal for outer planking, so that's second planking and decking, I'm guessing. And it's all really nicely done. When you look at it, the quality is really nice. The same with the white, it's not roughly cut or anything. Very, very nice. So that's good quality. We have, just going to go through this a handful at a time. We've got some nice dark wood rod there. So that'll be a nice dowel that's used probably on the yards for the masts, I would imagine. You can see we've got strips of different sizes and they're all really nicely sawn. There's no rough sawing at all. Not going to get any splinters. And also it's not knotty. Look how good that is. So more and more of that. We've got some dark wood strips in various different widths and thicknesses, and again the same comment. As you look at it, there's no knots or imperfections. The little dark staining you can see is where the elastic bands have been. So that's why I'm just removing any of the elastic bands from the pack as we go through it. But yeah, look at this, so the quality is just lovely. We've got some very nice thin stock here, a different wood again, so you're going to have lots of contrast when you varnish it up if you don't paint it. Then we've got what looks like a mast rod, and that's got some really nice wood ring work on that, so you varnish that up, it'll look absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, really nice. More wooden dowel there. Does need a gentle sand always, but it's really nicely done. Again, more wood of different colours, so different types. Lots and lots of this basic construction material that usually means it won't be seen, but sometimes it is. And then that has a flat edge on it. You see that's got a flat edge on it. I'm assuming that should be totally round, so be interesting. We might have to replace that piece. That's a shame. Anyway, I think we have all of our elastic band. You can see there, this is what I mean. It sticks to the wood and it starts to stain it. So probably will sand out, but we wouldn't have wanted to leave it in that state for much longer. So lots and lots of high quality wood. So there you have it, the Independence from 1775 in 1:35 scale. What is my first impression? Well, I have built a number of kits from this manufacturer, so I can talk with some knowledge of how they go together in reference to the instructions and the quality of materials and so on. This particular kit, the highlights for me, as always from this manufacturer, is the quality of the materials. The metal castings are very well done. The woods are really top quality, no knots or rough edges or anything like that. It's very well done. And then that is complemented by clear, simple and concise instructions. Now, those instructions might not quite go as far as I'd like for some elements of the build. The hull bending of the strips, or what they call the strakes, is probably the most complex bit of this. Once you've got past the hull planking, the rest of it is sand, varnish, glue, and time. Lots and lots and lots of time. And as such, the reward for the money you've spent on the kit is huge. The payback is just huge. Low lights of the kit were there's a lot of cross-referencing to do because the instructions and the pictorial references are separated, and it's the first time I've come across that, but this is an older kit than I've possibly had. Re-releases of the kit I've no doubt have an improved instruction manual, which is what I'm used to. Another low light for me as always with this manufacturer, is that they will tend to use generic parts to get them through what needs to be built, and therefore your accuracy is reduced. So your basic hull shape, your basic ship shape will be correct. Anything that can be done in wood will be correct. But then some of your other bits and pieces, like the standard barrel and possibly standard windlass, and one or two other parts will mean that it's not quite as accurate as it could be. Having said that, there is not many metal parts on there, so actually you've probably got a fairly decent representation. Now, if you want to varnish it, as they show on the front of the ship, then they've used good quality materials, and there is no visible ply on this model. All of the ply is in the construction and is hidden, and for me that's a massive tick, because when you look at some of the other manufacturers that we've looked at, particularly Ockrey, there's a lot of visible ply, and it really does detract from the end result of your model. So all that being said, I think this is a fabulous kit. I nearly said little kit, but the scale is such that what you get is quite a big model when it's finished. So you do need to, as always with wooden model ships, consider where the end is going to be shown. I really want a 1/72 scale HMS Victory. It would probably fill my living room, so that's why I don't have one. But there you go. It's a stunning little model, and what I'd say is, if you've not done a wooden model before and you fancy trying it, find one of the small kits from this manufacturer and give it a go. They have some nice ships at smaller scales which build up really, really lovely. And a particular favourite of mine is the Arab dhow. That goes together really, really nice. You've just got one mast to contend with, basic rigging, no rat lines, and a really pretty model when it's done. And I've made a couple of those and given them to people as presents, and they've absolutely loved it. But this is a lovely kit. If you're interested in buying it, you now know what you get in the kit. Just bear in mind that this is an early version and later releases may have changed a little bit. But hopefully that means that they've improved rather than detracted from the kit. I think it's a lovely kit. Can't wait to build it. It should go together really easily. So yeah, very, very nice. Thank you for looking in. I hope that was interesting or useful. You enjoy your modelling, and I will see you very soon.